Hey everyone, welcome to Sidetrack Adventures. This is Steve. Right now we're off historic Route 66 in Santa Rosa, New Mexico, at what is probably Santa Rosa's most well-known attraction, the world-famous Blue Hole. It is also bitterly cold and really windy, and this wind is hitting me in the soul right now. But let's take a look around the Blue Hole. The temperature right now is probably in the low 30s, but the wind is what is really making it cold here. I know for a lot of people watching, it probably doesn't seem so cold, but I'm a Southern California boy. The low 70s is probably jacket weather for me. The Blue Hole in Santa Rosa is one of about 8 or so places across the world that are called Blue Hole. If you Google Blue Hole, the one along the Barrier Reef in Belize will probably come up first. That one is pretty impressive, but it is a bit of a drive, so we're going to have to settle for the number 2 result on Google today. Santa Rosa's Blue Hole is a pretty iconic Route 66 stop nowadays, but its history goes back long before the road. Before any roads, for that matter. Native Americans long used the Blue Hole as a reliable water source long before Europeans ever ventured into the area. The Spanish first reached the area in 1541, but the first non-native settlement in Santa Rosa wasn't until about 1865. Along with being a reliable water source, with its consistent 61-degree water temperature, the Blue Hole was then, as it is now, a great place to cool off during the hot summers. It's said that cowboys on cattle drives across the Pecos River would stop by the pool frequently. Local legend has it that even Billy the Kid would cool off at the Blue Hole when he would come through Santa Rosa. I don't know how true that is or if there's any proof of it, but it's certainly possible. He definitely was not far from here at times, even having had his last Christmas dinner in nearby Puerto de Luna, about 9 miles south of here, in 1880. In 1901, the train arrived in Santa Rosa, and the Blue Hole became a popular swimming spot for railroad workers and passengers. 25 years later, the highway through Santa Rosa became part of Route 66, introducing the Blue Hole to a brand new group of travelers who needed a place to cool down. In 1932, the Blue Hole became a fish hatchery, and that's how it appears on most postcards from the golden age of Route 66 from the 1940s to the 1960s. In the 1970s, the Blue Hole became a recreation area, bringing it back to what it was for centuries. When we were first planning this trip and we realized that we were going to be near the Blue Hole, I had every intention of jumping in. That was until we got out here, and it is so windy and so cold. I stuck my feet in a few minutes ago, and when I pulled them out, it was like daggers stabbing them. It's so cold out here. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be jumping in today, but we can still take a look underwater through the magic of a GoPro and a rope. The water here comes from a cave system near the bottom that generates about 3,000 gallons of water per minute. That's why the water's so clear, because it's constantly being refreshed. The water completely cycles out about every 6 hours. I'm up on the Blue Hole's diving ledge right now, and the wind is crazy. I'm kind of using the walls up here to give myself a little bit of a windbreak. I tried flying the drone around, and the drone was just getting tossed everywhere. I got a little bit of drone footage, but not much. It was nuts. But looking down at the Blue Hole and just seeing how deep it is, I hate swimming over really deep water for whatever reason. It just gives me the heebie-jeebies, and looking down at this, it's pretty crazy. I can't imagine swimming over it, but this is apparently a really good place to practice scuba diving. You probably don't get a lot of scuba diving opportunities in New Mexico, but apparently this is one of the best. So the Blue Hole is about 80 feet deep and 80 feet in diameter at the surface. It widens as it gets deeper until the diameter reaches about 130 feet across. Winter is apparently the busiest diving season, with other dive sites in the area being too cold. I was hoping we'd see some divers out here today actually, but we have the place pretty much to ourselves right now. Unfortunately, there has been some tragedy here. The cave system at the bottom of the Blue Hole has led to the deaths of 3 divers, and is gated off to prevent access because of the danger of exploring it. Apparently there are still fish in here, but I haven't seen any. There is something I wanted to check out over here. This looks like it may have been the old entrance. This was probably the old ticket booth or something along those lines. This definitely isn't super old. I'm not sure when they would have stopped using this, but the buildings near the current parking area look pretty new. This walkway seems to be heading towards Route 66, but there's really only one way to find out where it goes. Well, it looks like we have an empty field and the golden arches of McDonald's off in the distance. I don't know if I want to give away all of our secrets, but if you're wondering what we're using to get those underwater shots, well, we have a GoPro attached to one of these flotation sticks, and we're dangling it into the water with a medieval times lanyard. So whatever works. From here, you can really see just how much water the blue hole is generating. About a quarter of a mile from here, this water will join up with El Rito Creek. This wind really hasn't let up at all. It's making waves on the blue hole right now. It was so cold we moved over to the Santa Rosa Route 66 Auto Museum. Anytime we're in a different Route 66 town, we try to visit their local Route 66 museum. This one's all about automobiles and has a ton of classic autos. It's pretty cool in here. But anyways, that was our look at the Route 66 icon, the Blue Hole of Santa Rosa. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing, and we'll see you next week.